And we're good. We're going. I can't remember how it goes. Yeah. What are you doing, Jake?
You wake up in the ninth dead world. Listen for the sound.
Don't worry. I'll block this hit block this one.
I'll block this one. Anyway.
Anyways, Happy New Year's.
In, I don't know, like 4 hours or 3 hours? 3 hours, some
3
minutes?
hours, 8 minutes according to my digital device here. So at the time of this recording, it's just before 9 o'clock at night.
On New Year's Eve.
New Year's Eve, U.S. Pacific Coast time.
You might hear some bangs and booms.
Yep.
That's our surrounding area shooting off fireworks.
And
happens every year.
Yeah, and if you get a slight hiss in the background, just turn your volume down a little bit.
We got the heater on.
Got the heater on.
It's cold.
It's cold. It's too dang cold to be out without a heater in here.
Yeah, I mean, it's the end of December, so.
Yeah. Almost like it's winter or something.
Right?
It's California. California doesn't have weather. What are you talking about?
We got 2 seasons in the valley, so.
Too dang hot and too dang cold. That's about it.
And the brief transition between the two.
Good time. Singular.
So hi. I haven't been here in a while.
Yeah, well, pretty much nobody has.
Well, I mean, you've done stuff with Tony.
Yeah.
Just
1 or 2 with Tony, and just been kind of putting it on ice. But with starting in a new year, starting season 3, I think it's time to bring it back into the fold, back into regular habit.
Okay. Sure, why not?
Sure, why not? I mean, I'm really putting too much effort into trying to do, serious topics and such. It's like, let's, have fun with it. Screw it.
Do like we do on our other podcast where we just basically, we have the idea that we're going to talk about one thing, but we really don't talk about anything, so.
Anything in particular. And somehow it works. On that note, Jive Ass Alien, find him on Spotify? And I think that's it.
I think so.
Yeah. I think he's only on Spotify. And Transistor, whatever that is. But yeah.
Japanese transistor radio.
They are reliable.
Just finishing up Christmas.
Yeah.
Mock of the 12 Days of Christmas. They play on Kino.
That's our local classic radio station, and yeah, they play that and it's hilarious.
Oldies, yeah.
What is didn't I get this, what is it, last year? Didn't I get this last year?
Something like that.
Yeah. And so that's one of their, okay. That brings us to actually doing I wanted to kind of get onto a subject that's somewhat serious, somewhat fun. That song is a little bit of a Valley tradition, or at least a Fresno tradition, of Kino playing that song. And that's our theme this evening.
Tradition.
Oh, I thought we were going to talk about that song.
Tradition.
Tradition. How did I get the fiddler on the roof in there?
Why is there a fiddler on the roof?
Tradition. And every time there's a crucial plot point in that movie, that's kind of his, as he's having one of his, as Rev Trevia is having his little asides, discussions with himself, whenever he comes back out of it, just kind of tradition.
Anyway.
And that's really the running theme in that movie, is trying to maintain his traditions, his self, his community, and his religious traditions in an ever-changing world. And that's kind of what's been happening a lot lately, but just I just wanted to speak to the importance of tradition. Why it matters. Like, why does tradition even matter? Who cares? Well, because, and throwing myself at the mercy of the internet, because we've tried to do this before, but I failed on what words I wanted to use. And I didn't have them then, and I'm still barely have them now. The idea to try and put it into words. people smarter than me have succeeded at this, but I'm not as smart as them. So, and I am so not smart as them. I didn't bring my glasses.
You want me to read it?
That's okay. I found which parts. Glasses, I can read without them. It's just they help. Creating predictability and security in an ever-changing world, because the world is always changing. Traditions provide a dependable anchor, offering a sense of security and continuity. They allow us to slow down and create new memories, which is particularly valuable in our busy lives. Yes. Anchoring identity and values. Traditions help define who we are and what is important to us. They act as a compass for our personal relationships and societal interactions, contributing to our sense of belonging and identity. For example, family traditions like holiday gatherings or weekly game nights reinforce values and strengthen bonds. And I can really speak to that right there. The contrast between your family and mine. We didn't have traditions.
Well, we barely have traditions.
A few is a lot more than none. And for the longest, like when we first started dating, I had given up on the idea of Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, birthdays. They meant nothing to me, actually.
Yeah, coming from a family that put a lot of value onto that, I couldn't understand why you didn't. It was just so weird to me that you didn't celebrate things.
Yeah, especially like birthdays. Like for your family, everything comes to a halt for one evening, and everyone gathers up, and we sit there and have family time and eat pie or cake or muffins, something. Mm-hmm. You know, we embarrassingly sing "Happy Birthday" at each other. Sometimes there's a cute little stuffed bear.
I think that stuffed bear reached an unfortunate demise. Accidentally maliciously destroyed.
Well, now we have the birthday tiara.
Yeah. Well, we've had one for a long time that I got from the Dollar Tree. A
little pink one?
Yeah, and that broke, and my mom got another one.
Yeah. But, well, that one's a lot better. It's it's chrome pot metal.
But still, it's
a little bit sturdier. And it's shiny.
Yeah, shiny.
The birthday person has to wear that as everyone sings, and then you blow out the candles. And
have dessert.
See, for me, I had given up on birthdays. And the reason for that is my birthday and my sister's are 1 week apart. Exactly. Mm-hmm. So ever since the age of like 8, 9, whatever, I had to share my birthday. So it was more or less her birthday, and I was there too. And because she was the princess. And as time got older and as the family fortunes started to really get worse before the wheels fell off, finances got rockier, celebrations got smaller, and it became still more her birthday more than mine, even though it was a shared birthday. And then there was a lot of times where it was the family birthday because we went to the fair. And so, which the fair is fine. It's fun. And especially when you're 11, it's still a lot of fun. You don't think about how poorly built the ride attractions might be, My
mom never let us ride those.
I mean, you hear the stories, but I survived.
The only ride we were allowed to do was that huge slide because there was no mechanics in it. You sit on the burlap sack and go down the huge slide, and it goes bumpy, 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 bumpy. That was the only thing we were allowed to ride.
Oh, man. I missed the Gravitron.
That's the one that spins.
It just sticks you to the wall, and you can kind of crawl around on the wall. The centrifugal force.
I saw this video recently of a lady on one of those, and she was on there with a couple of her kids. She was going to try and, show off to her kids about how she used to ride the Gravitron, where she was like sitting on the wall. once the speed really got up.
Oh yeah, yeah. You could sit there cross-legged on the wall, looking at the floor. Yeah.
Yeah, but her seat slid up, which means she was further out, which added a lot more gravity, and it was like threatening to bend her in half. Like she was like using all of her strength to keep herself from being, bent completely in half. Yeah, bent completely in half.
Oh no.
So she's like, you see her just struggling to not, have her.
She got a little more than she bargained for.
Not be bent in half.
Not be bent in half, yeah. Her back was against it's effectively the roof.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was, okay. So it was kind of like, pushing her forward. Oh, she's going to walk funny for a little while.
She's not going to do that again. I can tell you that. But anyway.
So that kind of demolished. And then when I moved in with my dad, Christmas and Thanksgivings and my birthdays, it was just another day.
And
We worked all the time. Especially, and even before that, Thanksgiving, Christmas, I actually started to hate Christmas and Thanksgiving because it meant spending time with Rick's parents. Yeah, it was just brutal torture. And so
his stepdad's parents, who are very Catholic and blamed his mom for everything.
Yeah.
And abused him because he is his mom's child.
I mean, I don't even blame that. They were just snobs. I don't even blame them on being Catholic. They were just snobs who could not see past the idea of this is their darling little child to see what mistakes he was making.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like, what's the word for it? The apologist or the nanny who always picks up the pieces with, their kid makes a mess and the parent picks it up all the time. And so the kid never learns the consequences of their actions.
Mm-hmm.
That was them. And so
and your mom's doing it to your sister too.
Yes, she is. And that's why, without getting into that. But anyways.
Anyway.
So I guess that's the tradition. I guess that's the tradition. My mom embraced her, what her mom did to her, and which is picking a favorite.
It's funny how our parents always resent that happened to them, but then they turn around and do the same thing.
Yeah. It's I don't even think they mean to do it. I think it's subconscious, but they don't bring themselves to break that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's human behavior. Humans are weird creatures.
Yeah, they are. But so traditions and holidays, especially for you, were not anything special until you got with me. And I was like, what do you mean? No, we're celebrating. It's your birthday. We got to go out. It's like, what do you mean? No.
Have to?
Yes.
But why?
It's your birthday. It's a special day. Yeah, we've had that argument several times. Then he relented and just, accepted that this is something that's going to happen from now on.
Now I've come to value it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It took me a few years to get used to the idea of it, but after a while I got used to it, and then I just realized this hedges on Stockholm. Anyways.
No, because you can leave anytime you want to.
Yeah, that's true. Oops, I keep kicking the power strip.
Let's not do that.
Yeah.
It's still on.
It's still on?
Yeah.
Okay. Monitor's still on too?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. Boom.
No, thankfully I learned my lesson the last time I was out here with Tony and made sure and put the heater on a separate power cord.
Yeah.
Because, that happened. We were like 30 minutes in and...
Surprised it lasted that long.
Yeah. It's an old power strip. They were made to last. And even then, all I had to do was wait for it to cool down, push the circuit breaker back in, and up it was running.
But anyway.
But, so marrying in to your family, or even back when we first started dating and then eventually and everything else moved on, or time moved on, your family has a good number of family traditions, and that kind of provides a sense of rooting.
Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of those came from my grandparents that my mom carried on or took the torch of.
Carried the torch?
Yeah, because when my grandparents got too old to throw these parties and all, the Thanksgivings and the Christmases and all that stuff, and me and my mom had to take over the work.
Yeah.
Yeah, so especially last year and the year before.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when Meemaw was still... Is that a firework?
Probably.
Yep. When Meemaw, way back when we first started dating, the amount of food laid out.
Yeah.
It's like, it's like, this much food exists?
Right.
It can be bought by one person? Madness! There's no way anybody could eat this much.
Well, my grandma and grandpa were from Pennsylvania and West Virginia.
That was a firework.
That was a firework. And they had big families. And when you're from the East or the South, unless you have 3 weeks worth of leftovers, you did not make enough food. And that's carried over into my mom, because this past Thanksgiving, we went a different route because I lost both my grandparents this year.
It's been a heavy year.
It's been a heavy year. I lost my grandpa in February. I lost my grandma in October. So this was the first set of holidays where we didn't have them.
Yeah.
And it was really weird. But we decided to do something different that we've never done before, since we didn't want to do what we just always did, because that's what my grandparents like. So we decided to do casseroles, just a whole bunch of casseroles. And I got together with my mom and I made 4 casseroles.
Which were exquisite.
Thank you. And I left my mom's house. And we went the day before, prepped everything. I left. We went back the next day to have Thanksgiving. My mom's like, after you left, I made another one. I was like, Mom, I made 4 casseroles for 5 people. She's like, uh-huh. So you essentially are assuming a casserole per person. She's like, yeah. Why? She's like, I'm Italian. Don't judge me.
That's the most humorous answer anybody could give. And that's the most humorous, and also the most, yeah, that tracks.
It's like, okay. So we had so many leftovers because we barely made a dent in each of these casseroles. Like not even a quarter was taken out of all of them. Because they were big casseroles. They were
each one.
Yeah,
it was
18 by
these were
by
full,
9.
These were full
pans.
on Corningware style pans. Not just the little meatloaf tin. No, this was you could fit a cat in this.
Casserole.
I would say, each one was at least 1.5 to 2 cats in size. Anything to avoid the metric system.
Yep. So yeah, that was her excuse. I'm Italian. Don't judge me. So I was like, okay, well, whatever.
I give a pass.
Well, that would work out if, the thing of having way too much food at Christmas and Thanksgiving and Christmas stems from everyone can go home with something. There's enough to share with everybody, get one more meal out of. But of the 5 people that were there, me, Mark, my brother, my mom, and my stepdad, my brother, my mom, and my stepdad are all on diets. So guess who got all the leftovers?
I didn't have to think about what I was going to take to work for lunch, and it was awesome. because it's like,
And there's still stuff in there from Christmas.
yeah, I got to finish eating those. Which also we took a most ironic of ways of doing that one.
Me.
The fiesta. We had a Feliz Navidad.
I was talking to my mom. We wanted to do something different again for Christmas. Just trying to make things easier because there's still so much loose ends to tie up. Having lost both my grandparents, because when my grandpa died in February, everything went to my grandma. There wasn't much to do, but now that my grandma's gone, there's a lot to do. So, the formal dining room had stuff all over it. We just ate on trays in the living room. It kept it casual. We were trying to keep it easy, just because it's been such a hectic, crazy last couple of months. And so I was talking to my mom. We were kicking around what to do for Christmas, and I was like, let's just do a potluck. Everybody bring something. She's like, okay, that's a good idea. She called my brother. He's like, yeah, cool. I'll think of something. So we couldn't really think of anything to do. And I'm thinking, it's like, what can I bring? That's not what we usually do. And so I was like, nachos. I'll make a big plate of nachos. That'll be my thing. So I texted my mom, told her I'm going to make nachos. So she's like, well, if you're making nachos, then I'll make enchiladas. It's like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
And so I talked to my brother. I was like, I'm going to make nachos. Mom's going to make enchiladas. He's like, well, I guess I'll bring taco fixings. So we didn't go out thinking, oh, let's have Mexican food. We just started with nachos and went from there.
Yeah. Just kind of, planted one thing and the rest grew in by itself almost.
I mean, I don't mean to toot my own horn, but those were good nachos.
They were good nachos. And then your mom came up with those, she took the corn tortillas, stuffed those into a muffin tin.
Yeah, and filled them with meat and cheese and stuff.
Yeah, it was like taco bowl. Mm-hmm. A literal taco bowl.
And they were pretty
really good. Yeah.
Yeah. She's like, I'm experimenting. It's like, experimenting is fine.
That's fine. Mm-hmm. But it's still within the tradition of a collaboration of a collaboration on what to do for Christmas, and then spending time with each other.
Mm-hmm. Well, in the past, when I was a kid, Christmas was my mom and my grandma in the kitchen, my dad in the easy chair watching football, and my grandpa watching football with my dad, and me and Aaron trying to find something to do to keep us occupied because we want to go open our presents. That was childhood, and it's kind of evolved from there to, me helping, and my dad obviously doesn't come to our Christmases anymore since my parents divorced, but
he's also
in Tulare, yeah.
A good it's a day, about a day trip away, yeah.
Well, an hour, but
yeah.
Anyway, so the past few years, me and my mom started doing all the cooking because my grandma just can't physically do it. She didn't have the strength, but she still tried. Oh my Lord, she tried. And Mark has been taking care of Lily, so it was my brother's job to keep my grandma out of the kitchen.
Yeah, Aaron and I ended up playing goalie for different people.
Yeah, because she would go and sit down in the living room, but after a while she'd get up and wander into the kitchen. What do you need help with? It's like, Mima, go sit down. It's very sweet that you
chairs?
Do you know where everything is? Can I tell you where anything is? Like, we know where everything is. Everything's been in the same spot for the last 20 years. So
not longer.
Yeah.
Well, they've had the same house for 50 years, so not much has changed as far as where it is.
No, and they're not one of those people that just needlessly rearranges the kitchen because they're bored. The plates have always been in one cabinet. The cups have always been in the other cabinet. There's
plates, cups, silverware, Tupperware.
Yeah, so it's like we bless her heart, she wanted to help, but she was just she couldn't anymore. So we had to find creative ways without hurting her feelings to keep her out of the kitchen. One time my brother took out his keys and started jingling and going, Mima, come get the keys. Come get the
Which, if you didn't know Aaron, that would sound really insulting.
She just gave him this dirty look. It's like, okay, fine. There was one year. It was a good number of years ago, but Mark was with, was with when we were married, and my brother had to go to work. I think it was Thanksgiving, and we had to eat because my brother needed to go to work, and we had a small time frame. This is when my grandma could still do stuff. We had a small time frame that we could eat in before my brother had to leave. But my grandma just would not stop making stuff. She was just like, well, let me go get, let me go put some rolls in the oven. Let me go get this. Let me make this real quick. And my brother's like, Mom, I got to go to work soon. We need to eat. And so and they kept telling her, it's like, we need to eat. We need to eat. She's like, okay. Oh, well, let me just go get this real quick.
Let me just warm up the gravy. Let me warm up some rolls. Let me the cranberries. She
just wasn't listening. And they kept saying, Aaron's like sweating bullets because he's like, I'm going to have to leave mid-meal at this point. And so nothing was getting through. My mom was telling my grandma, we need to eat. My brother was telling my grandma, we need to eat. And she just wasn't listening. So my mom's like, Beth, you try. She's not listening to either of us. And I did something that you are not supposed to do around my grandma.
Ever.
I called her by her first name. And she hates her first name. And you do not call her by her first name. So I just shouted it out. And she just stopped and went, what did you call me? I thought she was going to slap me.
I mean, it was the most perfect cartoon-like moment because you said it.
She was still
loudly,
talking.
And there was a 3-second delay before
not even that much, maybe 1.5 seconds.
A short delay.
From her hearing me and registering what I had said. But I got her attention. It's like, Eleanor, we need to eat.
Yes, I know, but
what's funny though is when my mom came over to me and she's like, Beth, you try. And I was thinking for a second, I was like, how can I get her attention? And I leaned over to my mom, I was like, because I only had learned her first name a year before this. I didn't even know this was her first name because she never went by this name. And
not even Papa called her that.
Well, no, my grandpa calls her mother's name to get her goat, but
well, for the longest time, I thought that was her name.
Me too.
I thought her name was Zoe.
Turns out my grandpa calls her that because
her mother's name was Zola.
Yeah. So to get her goat, and it just kind of whenever my grandpa gives you a nickname, it sticks, no matter if you want like it or not.
How old were you when you learned Uncle Razzy's real name?
I was in my teens, maybe 20s.
Maybe 20s, yeah.
But anyway, so I had only learned her name shortly before this. So I leaned over to my mom and I whispered, her name's Eleanor, right? And she's like, my mom started giggling, going, do it, do it, do it. So I did. It got her attention and we ate after that. So
I mean, it worked.
It worked. I thought she was going to slap me, but it worked.
I think she wanted to.
Oh, man, that was funny.
That is, yeah.
But, that's what traditions do. Gives you a chance to come together with your family and create memories that you're going to be laughing about years later. Years,
if not decades to come.
Yeah.
I mean, that's such a perfect example of that. Thank you for sharing that. I'm always a little hesitant to share things like that because I don't know if it's, a guarded secret.
Doesn't matter to her now.
Well, true. Well, no, and it's like, yeah, she's not here anymore. No, she's everywhere. She hears everything.
Which is really great because when she died, she was deaf.
Irony. Oh, I know. Her hearing was worse than Papa's, and that's saying something. But yeah, sitting there fussing with her hearing aid, and I can hear the feedback
across the room.
Yeah.
And it's in her ear.
And I could hear it, as she's taking it out and fussing with it. Wee, 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 wee.
Yeah, it's like deafening all of us. But she's like, "Is this on? I can't hear anything."
Does this need a new battery?
And bless her heart. I mean, towards the end though, she was just getting really depressed because she's like, "I can't see." Because she was legally blind. She's like, "I can't see, and I can't hear, and I just sit here."
Yeah. Which has spawned 2 running gags, which started when she was still with us. Lights and chairs.
Yeah, bless her heart. Yeah, because of her blindness, she could see shadows. She was considered legally blind, but she could still make out shadows and maybe a little bit of features.
Like some shapes, yeah.
Yeah.
She knew you were standing there. And she could figure out who it was.
Yeah.
More or less.
But every light in the house needed to be on. And she would always be saying, "Is it too dark in here?" I was like, "No, it's okay, Meemaw. Every single light, we can't turn on any more lights." And
there are literally no lights left to turn on in this room.
And the windows are open. So this is as bright as it's going to get, Meemaw.
Yeah.
But
poor thing.
And she was always worried that everyone needed to sit down. Everyone had to sit. And I think that just, spawns from, her hostess.
That's that Southern hospitality.
Southern hospitality. Everyone needed a drink and everyone needed a chair.
And food.
No one was allowed to sit and no one was allowed to not be drinking anything.
Yes.
So
I think that's just that Southern hospitality of your guests need to be comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
No one is ever allowed to be hungry, thirsty, or uncomfortable.
Right. So she just always fussed that if somebody... Mark likes to stand.
It's a habit.
He likes to stand and he perches. So it drove her up the wall. She's like, "Well, do you need a chair? I could send Frank out into the garage to get more chairs." It's like, "No, Mimo, we have enough chairs. It's just he likes to stand." It's like, "Well, does he need a chair?" It's like, she couldn't comprehend that somebody wanted to stand. She's like, "Well, he must be standing because I didn't offer him a chair."
I learned to find somewhere to sit in her presence.
Mm-hmm.
And not just perch, sit.
Yeah. And every time we visited, whether it was for event, holiday, whatever,
or just
because, "Does anyone need something to drink? Can I get you something?" It's like, yeah, so that's just how she was. And,
but yeah, I mean, that's just a tradition from her upbringing.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way she was brought up, and out there in West Virginia.
So having Thanksgiving and Christmas after she passed away, we had to joke around a little bit. So I said, "Mom, do we need more chairs?" And she just laughs and it's like, "What about the lights? Do we need more lights?" So, I imagine that the power bill went down exponentially.
Oh my word.
Because every single light in the house was always on.
Heater at full blast, every light on. You could probably use their house for landing planes.
But because my grandma was always cold, so the heater had to be on, and every light in the house had to be on. And
it's still taking your mom a while to realize she doesn't need to have the TV at full volume.
Yeah.
It's like we're watching Letterkenny, but you're watching it like, whoa.
Well, we were watching on Christmas. They were playing all the Harry Potter movies on some episode or some channel, and so we were watching those. And she turned it way up because she's like, because they, one scene they're whispering, it's really quiet, and then the action scene happens and it's really loud, and yeah,
that is really distracting.
And a lot of movies do that in TV shows, and it's a pain in the ass.
What the blubbins, Hollywood? Come on!
And it's like that's why people like us need to put subtitles on.
Yeah,
because we don't like it very, very loud. We don't do the surround sound stuff.
Not only that, but it's very tedious to have to sit there and do this, and then
that, and that, and that. Yeah.
Every scene change. So every 3 to 5 minutes, you're changing the volume. It's very tedious, and it takes you out. It's very distracting. It takes you out to have to constantly find the remote and turn it down.
So you turn on the subtitles and turn it down.
Yeah.
So the action scenes aren't deafening, but you can at least read what they're saying.
which is a problem. As you get older, it's getting harder to read the subtitles. You just fill in the gaps with your imagination. You don't, you learn to speed read. You learn to skip the conjunctions and whatnot, and just grab the key nouns, nouns and adjectives. That's just or nouns and verbs.
Or just sit there and start singing the song in your head. Da, 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 da. Hey, da, da, da.
Oh, that's only if the show's no good.
But yeah. So yeah, we'd always on Christmas we'd open presents, then eat lunch, and then we'd sit. And usually my brother and Mark, or my brother and my mom, would go on a walk, and then we'd have dessert and coffee.
Try and digest Leonard.
Yeah.
The walk is to try and digest.
You guys didn't take your walk on Christmas?
No, I kind of skipped that one.
It's too cold.
I don't know. It just kind of felt off. I don't know. But
these holidays in general fell off for me. But
yeah. Well, there were still a few things in there that I think this stuff is coming from my jacket.
No, because it's the stuff that's coming off of your jacket is red.
I don't know.
It was there when you sat down.
And
it's all over your phone now.
But anyways, even within that, there's a few smaller traditions. Like Aaron always reads from the Bible.
Yeah. Before we open presents, you read Luke chapter 2. He knows which verses, I don't.
Yeah, see, that's when I zone out and start doing, singing Turkey in the Straw to my head. And, coming into this Christmas, I kind of jokingly, well, it was meant to be joking. I don't know if it sounded that way. It's like, are we doing Christmas? I know we're still gathering, but I knew it was going to be Christmas. I was trying to be funny, but I don't think it came across that way. I hope it did. But either way, it's passed. That because none of us are Christians.
Yeah, I know. That's kind of funny. All of us that are left over weren't really Christians, but it was a tradition, so we still do it.
Yeah. Aaron's still reading from the Bible, even though all of us are sitting there thinking, none of this is real.
Tradition.
Tradition.
It's kind of ironic.
What's that?
Just the fact that we still do it, even though none of us are really Christians. I think Aaron is, but he keeps it toned down.
I don't mind it.
To each their own, as long as you're not hurting anybody.
But that's just funny. I mean, thanks. When we sat down to eat, Papa always led the prayer. We would always hold hands. The blessing.
That prayer always went on forever. It's like I was hungry to begin with.
Well, everything seems to take longer when you're hungry.
Yeah. Yeah.
But even so, within that tradition, there's a few smaller traditions which are it's fine. We skipped the prayer this time.
Yeah, I don't think anyone cared.
No.
I think even if we were sitting around the table, we wouldn't.
But I think it's doing. But it provides a continuity. These shared traditions, picked up from Zola and
Roy.
I don't know why I almost said James.
James is his middle name. Roy James Wood.
Right.
My great-grandfather and great-grandmother.
Okay. Another thing your family does is going by their middle names.
My mom doesn't.
Your mom doesn't, but Aaron does.
Well, that's because my dad insisted he be named Dials.
Yeah, and he's the third, so he's 3D.
But the middle names are different, so it's not enough to say, the first, the second, the third. Everything's a little different.
Yeah.
And Mom's like, we'll do it, but I'm calling him by his middle name.
which was pretty much Meemaw's reaction.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll name, when Papa Dials insisted, it's like, okay, but I'm calling him Steven.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But anyway, so
I don't know if that counts as a tradition.
My grandma hated her first name because her dad was a huge fan of FDR and named my grandma after his wife, Eleanor
Roosevelt, yeah.
And my grandma thought Eleanor Roosevelt was the ugliest woman ever. She's like, how can he name me after somebody so ugly? So she
not wrong. Eleanor was not a looker.
So she just detested her first name because she was named after Eleanor Roosevelt, and Eleanor was ugly. So,
I mean, both of them are correct. FDR and Eleanor, especially in those times, because Meemaw was born 1930?
1930, yeah.
30. It's the president, and he's trying to get us out of that depression. So he was very popular. There was probably a lot of little boys named Franklin in that era. Frank or Franklin. Although I don't think Papa's name was because of that. No, that was a different Frank. That was the Italian tradition. Everyone's named Frank, Paul, or Joey. I mean, every mob movie.
Frankie, yeah, Paulie. His brother was named Paul.
I rest my case. But, and all the way back to the first one, the first Pantazana, when he became Paul Odell.
He took on the name Paul?
Frank Paul, sorry. Faustino Pantazana became Frank Paul Odell.
I didn't hear the Frank Paul part.
Yeah. Grandpa's grandpa.
I know who Frank. I knew who he was. I just didn't know he took on the name Frank Paul.
Yeah. Just to Americanize.
Or Irish eyes.
Irish eyes, yeah.
Yeah. Because they said, if you change your last name to an Irish last name, I can get you a job. We're Irish now.
Son of the Emerald Isle.
Emerald Isle.
It's like, how do you do that with it? I'm a son of the Emerald Isle.
Yeah, you just do this with your hands. Italians cannot talk. My grandpa, shortly before he passed away, would sleep on the couch, and he must have been having a conversation in his sleep because he was still gesturing, even though he was asleep. It was hilarious. We got videos of it.
I have to see these.
I think Mom's got them. I have no idea.
Oh, man, remind me later.
But yeah, he'd be sitting there asleep and then just like he does when he talked doing these things because that's what Italians do.
They talk with their hands.
And just the way he does when he was talking, but he was fast asleep.
And it's not just any particular, it is one particular motion Italians do. It's this. It's not just, no, it's this.
Or.
So I says to Mabel,
Yeah.
Yeah. There's like a set of motions that they all do.
I wonder why if it's just something that started getting passed down, everyone did it, everyone's parents decided to do it, so now all the kids do it because the parents did it, or...
I blame the Romans.
Who's Walpole?
Nah, Cincinnatus.
But anyway, so yeah, you married me, got to inherit all of our... And it was hard for you at first. There was a lot of coaxing. I almost had to force you into it. But, later on, I think you grew to appreciate him.
I learned to relent and acquiesce and then accept and then enjoy. It was a transition. It was a learning curve,
Well, it was such a it was so vastly different from what you were used to, so...
It's like, wait a minute. Family members gather around.
And don't fight?
and actually like each other? Are you guys just putting this on?
We pretend to.
Are you guys punking me? Who's paying who here? I mean, this doesn't make sense to me. I don't understand. It just wasn't something my family did. It's like I have, like every once in a while, it's like I know my mom has a sister. I know she
Know
exists.
of her.
I know of her. I know I've met her twice, I think, at least.
That's about it.
And as of about 30 years ago, I knew she lived in Stockton. I don't know if she still lives there.
Well, your mom doesn't like contacting her.
No, because
They hate each other.
they do hate each other. And that's a long sort of tale, and doesn't really matter.
It's not important in any way. But, yeah, so... Well, your mom also kind of, alienated her mom, never really knew her dad, so you didn't...
My mom didn't know. No, as far as we know, my mom may have been the result of a one-night stand. That's the story they're sticking to.
Yeah, so she didn't have a father figure, and she didn't really get along with her mom, so there was no, getting together with the family on your end.
Other than her grandparents, for whom I'm named. When my mom finally told me that story, it's like, wow. For the longest time, being called Marcus kind of bothered me.
Yeah, you hated it. Like, my grandpa was the only one who was able to get away with it because he referred to you as Marcus Aurelius.
That, and I knew I sensed immediately there was no shaking it.
Yeah. But Marcus Aurelius is awesome.
Yeah. So, I mean, well, before I even understood that, I just like, Marcus Aurelius. Okay.
Boom.
I just, it was an intuitive sense of Papa's nicknames are permanent. Just get used to it. Okay.
Yeah.
But when my mom finally told me that Marcus Portsline, Portuguese, it turns out, only through marriage. We're only related to them through marriage. My mom's stepdad, Grandpa Ron, his parents were whom I've called were Grandpa Marcus and Grandma Lucille. My grandma. So I had my, way back when my family still lived in Oakland, I had my mom, grandma. So my mom, Grandma Irene, and Grandma Lucille.
Okay.
So those were Ron's parents. Well, my mom was the other kid. So there was my mom and Aunt Cheryl, her sister Cheryl, and a lot of this is put together from what my dad told me about that and what my mom told me about that, all of that. That my mom was kind of the other kid. There was Cheryl and the other kid.
Yeah, that's enough to make anybody resentful.
Yeah. So, and then her mom, Grandma Irene, was also a working single mother, so she was always gone a lot. So when my mom came home from school, who's home? Grandma and Grandpa. So they were very instrumental in her upbringing. So that's why Mom named me after him, because Grandpa Marcus was very instrumental in her upbringing. So she named me Mark, shortened it, but kept the C in honor of him. It's like, oh, well, okay, so that's actually kind of a compliment to be named after someone you look up to. Okay, I'll try and measure up to that. Yeah, I'll take it. I don't have much choice in it, but change my name to Max Power.
Got off the hairdryer.
But so traditions provide a sense of family, of continuity, identity, and such, and things like that. Bring up this list again here. This was pretty neat. Brave browser, I like it. The summarizer does a great job. You like 99% of the time, it works every time. And here, okay, what we were just talking about, building community and relationships. Practicing traditions, whether with family, friends, or colleagues, helps build stronger relationships and a sense of community. For instance, professional traditions in companies can foster a sense of unity. Okay, that's not really what we were talking about. Ignore that last bit. Encouraging positive behaviors. Traditions can teach strong values and positive behaviors. For example, family rituals like praying before meals or reading together can instill values of faith and the importance of learning. Celebrating milestones and achievements. Traditions associated with milestones like birthdays, anniversaries, and holidays provide opportunities to celebrate and reflect on life's important moments. These celebrations can be simple or elaborate, but they serve to honor and appreciate these significant events. So, I mean, that's a lot about what we were talking about, but also, I had a half a thought formed. Nope, it's gone. But, just building, but also, things that we've started doing on our own, friendsgivings, gathering up with our friends. It's all we've made those traditions in themselves. And it helps you keep contact with people, helps you keep the relationships with people. And that's an extremely valuable thing.
And for one reason or another, circumstances make you not see that person very often. It's that time to get together and see them again.
Yeah. I mean, shoot, and Gwen have known each other for ages, forever,
for almost 25 years.
Gwen and Sarah.
Yeah. But yeah, we don't see each other very often. We don't talk as much anymore, but it's still there.
Yeah.
We can always get back together and pick up right where we left off.
It's like you just saw each other yesterday.
Yeah.
It's been like 8 months, but it was yesterday.
Yeah. Well, one tradition that I remember as a kid that's very befitting considering it's New Year's is what we used to do on New Year's Eve when we were kids. We did stay up till midnight because when you're 7, 8 years old, being able to stay up past your bedtime is the greatest thing in the world. Now I'm going to go to bed soon.
Somewhere around 30, that stops being fun and it just becomes chores.
Yeah, like I said to Lily's therapist the other day, is like the older you get, the less you do for New Year's. So, but yeah, we got to stay up till midnight. We watched the ball drop and the rebroadcast of it since it happened like 3 hours earlier.
Time zones.
Yeah. So we watched the ball drop, and when New Year's hit, we ran around in the front yard, banging pots and pans together, yelling, "Happy New Year!" I'm sure our neighbors loved that. And then we would drink.
Well, one night a year, it's okay.
Yeah. And then we would drink Martinelli's sparkling cider.
Yes. Very delicious drink. Oh, look at that. You just happen to have
some.
Well,
yeah.
What fun is that? And cups.
So let's see if I can get this open. I think I might need to go get a can opener.
Well, they're usually twist-offs. And as we discovered by reading the back, Martinelli's is actually a very healthy drink.
Yeah, it's like 100% juice. Here, you do it.
It's just carbonated juice. And it's delicious. It's like more juice than most things in the juice aisle. It is not a twist-off.
Do you still have that can opener out here you used when Jay was over?
I think it's on top of the fridge.
Okay. Moment, please.
Talk amongst yourselves. I'll give you a topic. Spaghetti.
I always hated it as a kid, personally, but I was forced to eat it because, spaghetti is one of those meals you always make in mass, to feed families on the cheap. It is still out here. Awesome. So, feeding family on the cheap, I was forced to eat it. and I didn't like it. I didn't like it till I started making it. What are you doing?
Bring out a prop.
Is that sewing supplies?
Might be. Hold on first. It's like that is such a tradition from around the world. No, it's magnets.
Oh, we should take these inside. I bet you would have a lot of fun with these right now.
Yeah.
Letter magnets.
Talking about fun things everyone does. There you go. These tins right here, the Royal Dance Danish butter cookie things. It's like everyone. No, it's a sewing kit.
Mm-hmm. My grandma always had sewing supplies in that.
I mean, that is such a universal thing that I've seen memes. It's like even in the store with the factory seal, I still am not convinced there's cookies in that.
Well, there's a YouTube channel called The Southern Thing, which we
those
like
people
because
are hilarious.
they're hilarious, and we totally know what they're talking about because of especially my upbringing. But they're talking about that, the fact that the butter cookie tins always had
sewing bits, yeah.
And one of them's like, I think that stems from the Depression. Because when you've got no money for anything, you just make do with what you got.
Yeah.
And since they were tin and metal, therefore very durable, just got reused as things. And mom's basket rots away.
Yep.
Go get the cookie tin.
Yep. And I mean, there's a lot of interesting things like that. Just the idea of thrift.
Cheers. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. That's good.
It's good, marinades. And speaking of tradition, this has not changed in the last 25 years, at least.
No.
It still tastes exactly the same. And yeah, right on the back, 100% juice.
Consistent. A consistently, that's a reliable product, man.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta love it.
We had it at our wedding because we weren't allowed to have booze because it was at a Christian college. So we bought a bunch of those.
Yeah, I mean, it's just surprised. Talk about irony. Yeah, we got married on Halloween in a Christian church.
Well, a Christian venue. It wasn't a church,
yeah.
but
school.
Christian school, yeah.
Christian school. A couple of non-believers getting married on Halloween in a Christian school.
Hey, it was pretty and it was cheap. So, and my mom worked there, so she was able to pull some strings.
Employee discount.
But yeah, so what were we talking about? Oh yeah, cookie tins.
Cookie tins, traditions. Talking about just a little quick sidebar. YouTube channel I watch, Uncle Tony's Garage.
Mm-hmm.
He was talking about how in a lot of garages, I'd say he's 60 something.
Mm-hmm.
He was talking about that he always just has a pile of junk, and that's part of it stems from guys. We just always everyone has this little bit of clutter around.
Well, I mean, it doesn't matter who you are or what your upbringing is. There is one drawer in the kitchen that is the junk drawer.
Yes.
That's where everything that doesn't have a home goes.
Yes.
And ours is overflowing. It needs to be cleaned out.
We've got, I think we've got like 3 or 4 actual junk drawers.
Well, we just have one. No, you're right. We have 3. But
I could see her running through the inventory. Scanning.
4. We got 4. But we only really use 2 of those drawers in the kitchen for actual utensils. But anyway, so yeah. But growing up, we had a junk drawer.
Everybody does.
Everybody does.
But yeah, he was talking about his junk pile.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a pile of like bits of, brackets, bits of metal, just whatever. And he just always has it because he just can't bring himself to throw anything away because he inherited that from his parents who grew up in the Depression, or grandparents who grew up in the Depression.
Well, you could say you inherited from your parents who grew up in the Depression, but that's just a guy thing. You do it.
Yeah.
It is so hard for guys to get rid of things because they know that as soon as they do, they're going to need it.
Every single time.
Whereas I'm like, well, I haven't used this in a year. I'm not going to. So
I mean, there are things I do that with that it's like, yeah, I haven't used this in a long time. I'm not going to. But as far as tools, doodads,
well,
whatnot,
tools always have a purpose.
always have a purpose. Even though the last time I used that purpose came around was like 5 years ago, I'm not going to get rid of it because as soon as I do, I'm going to need that tool.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like bits for the cars. I'm not throwing those away because I know the moment I do. And,
And I've heard you before. It's like, I think I got one of those. Shit, I got rid of it.
yeah.
We've had that conversation, so I'll give you that.
Yeah, especially if it was like, oh God, window regulators. Especially for the Dodge. That driver's door window regulator.
Oh,
For a
yeah,
while,
because we could not find the one we needed.
Yeah, well, nobody makes a replacement. So you're left harvesting what you can out of the ones in the junkyard, trying to get the best parts you can find in other used vehicles, and then rebuilding what's left of yours.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that's the best you're going to get unless you can somehow get a new one made somewhere.
Which is going to be expensive.
Yeah, so you're just looking for odds and ends, and hopefully the cables isn't all mangled up. Which it usually is.
Mangled up and tangled up knots.
You're a sly one, Mr. Grinch.
Yeah, this year, I don't know. Like, I was talking to a cashier at Walmart, and like this year, just Christmas. It didn't feel like Christmas like anywhere. Like, so everyone's like, it doesn't feel like it's time for Christmas. It seems like it came way too fast. And I was talking to a cashier at Walmart when I was, buying Christmas gifts one time, and she's like, I think it was because Thanksgiving was a little bit later. And it's like, okay, that makes sense, but Thanksgiving was only a few days later than normal, so it doesn't seem like that would make that much of a difference. But no, yeah, there's a lot of things that we did that we didn't do. Like our Christmas specials is one of them. It's like I didn't watch through our Christmas specials VHS, which I do every year. And Mark, like Christmas Eve, we sat and we watched
Muppets Christmas
Carol, because you're like, that's why it hasn't felt like Christmas, because we haven't watched Muppets Christmas Carol. So we sat there and watched it.
We didn't watch in most of our usual movies.
Yeah. I don't know if it's just because we were more busy or just not feeling it or what was going on, but so something about this Christmas felt off.
Something in the air.
Because it wasn't just us, it was everybody.
Yeah. And I learned that I can do live streams on X, so I did. And I kind of went on a little bit of a rant because it was a culture shift has happened. And I think I told you that I was on one of the tool trucks was at work.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
And I told him, and we were shooting the breeze a little bit, and I bought something, and and as I was leaving the truck, he threw a Merry Christmas out there. And I didn't think about it. He said it first, and then I responded. And I was like, oh, cool. Somebody else said Merry Christmas. Because I had been trying to do it to every store clerk I'd met and every person I see in passing, Merry Christmas. He threw it out there. And I responded. And I thought that, at first I was really pleased about that. And then after about 2 minutes, I was kind of miffed. Because it was December 18th.
Mm-hmm.
Why did it take to the middle of December, 1 week before Christmas, to get another person to say Merry Christmas in passing? Well,
in a business setting, they tell you not to, because that might not be everybody's beliefs. That's the thing that happened. You don't say Merry Christmas, you say Happy Holidays, because what if they're Jewish, or what if they celebrate Kwanzaa, or don't celebrate at all, so you don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, even though everything else in the store says Merry Christmas.
Right? Oh my God, it's so clown shoes.
And just to contrast that, I had to go to the store twice today because I forgot something the first time and something we really needed. And both times I went to the grocery store today, the clerk said, Happy New Year. Because it's non-denominational.
Right.
So Happy New Year is okay.
Yeah.
But not Merry Christmas.
Happy Halloween.
Yeah. Have a good Halloween.
Halloween, Thanksgiving, and New Year. And somehow there's just this
Yeah,
dead spot
where Christmas
nobody says
is.
anything.
Yeah. It makes no sense.
No. It's the most expensive Christmas of the year, and we're not supposed to say anything about it.
Right. Yeah. The most expensive holiday.
Clown World.
We're in a circus. Yeah. Mark's been singing the circus themes at work.
Oh my God. Yeah. And well, for various reasons, and that's one of them. But it's just like, come on. And it shouldn't take pagans and Wiccans to say that it's okay to say Merry Christmas. Come on, Christians, stand up for yourselves.
Well, I mean, it's not the pagans and Wiccans that are the problem. Pagans and Wiccans are usually respectful of everybody. It's the millennials and the Karens and the whiners and the people who say, how dare you gender assume me? I'm going to kill myself because I'm crying so much because you hurt me so bad.
These people need to be locked away in the rubber rooms where they can't hurt themselves.
We can't hear them.
Yeah, just lock them far away where nobody else has to hear their insane ramblings. These people are not well.
Yeah.
You can tell by
It's the
looking at
woke
them.
people that will make a big deal, not the pagans.
Yeah.
But
That is true. That is very true. It's usually is. 9 out of 10 times, it's some Karen with an axe to grind.
or some woke millennial who thinks they're changing the world.
By crapping on everyone else's stuff.
Yeah.
And that's just it. They're offering nothing in exchange. You know, oh, happy holidays. Happy holidays is as empty as it's emptier than a balloon. You know, because, and in that rant that I did on X, I was talking about how Merry Christmas is acceptable. I don't care if you're not Christian. You're not, you know, it's almost another form of wishing someone well.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, you don't have to be a Christian to celebrate Christmas. I mean, that's why they do the Santa theme.
Yeah. Well,
You got the Christians who believe that is, you know, the birth of Jesus, which it wasn't. Or you have the people, you know, cling to the Santa theme.
yeah. Which is more non-denominational and more almost
Child-friendly.
child-friendly. Yeah. Well, Santa has a various. We went on those in earlier episodes. You know, the various possible origins of Santa.
Yeah, when we did our bit on Yule.
Yeah. Man, that was fun. That was a brutal couple episodes, but it was fun. They're very informative. Please go listen to those. I did a lot of research.
He did. That's why it took like 3 or 4 episodes to go through it all.
Yeah. And, but I kind of went on, you know, a little bit of background on. So Christmas is ostensibly a Christian holiday. I mean, it's got the word Christ in it. And America is based from the English Commonwealth, which was another Christian nation. So we inherited that from there. So we've got Christian background, you know.
Yeah, but it was Christian, quote unquote Christian, because we had to erase this pagan holiday.
Yeah.
Because scholars and people who've actually researched it and said that I think Jesus was actually born in like August or something like that.
Yeah.
But, you know, when Jesus was born, we weren't using the calendar we're using now. So how can you possibly know when his birth date actually is?
Well, I don't think they'll ever peg it down to a day, but you can get it within a month.
And it's
Within
not.
No, it's around August.
It's just that pagans celebrated this holiday in in December, the solstice. And if let's take that away and make it Christian.
Co-opt it. Yeah.
Jesus' birthday. Yeah, that works.
Yeah. Thank you, Council of Nicaea.
Yeah.
Circa 330 AD ish.
340, I think.
Yeah, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
But just culturally.
Mm-hmm.
14, 15, 1600s, people, we crash landed into Americas, and the first colonies here in America, colonies in North America, Jamestown, the Virginia Company, and
Well, they were Puritans.
well, no, that was the Pilgrims, 1620, 1621, but the Virginia Company, 1603 ish. So depending on where you want to say the start of America was, either way, it was English people coming here and coming out of that Judeo-Christian tradition. So then they brought that with them. Converter died the natives. But our country is built from those traditions, and so it kind of bothers me that things from that people are trying to erase parts of that tradition because it's part of American culture.
Yeah, we should totally honor American traditions of our forefathers. Next Christmas, we're sailing across the river and attacking somebody.
Americans totally willing to sail across the
river on Christmas Day,
on Christmas night to murder an opposing army. We've done it before. We'll do it again. And look awesome doing it. History memes, love it.
And it's true.
What she was talking about there is referencing the crossing of the Delaware in 1776. Yes, please. Yes, please.
Yeah, it was on Christmas Day they attacked.
Yep.
No one was expecting them to, because it was Christmas.
No, because it was Christmas and because it was winter, and part of the old mainstay was you just did not campaign in winter.
Yeah, because it's
a pain in the ass.
Well, they learned that from Napoleon.
Well, no, that came later. Napoleon was early 1800s.
Oh, that's right.
It was just handed down from the days of knights on horseback that campaigning in winter was just too hard. You lost too many men to starvation and frostbite and illness.
Yeah.
So you just went home. Pick it up again in the spring. It's too hard, too expensive. You lost too much. You lost too many manpower and resources just trying to maintain an army.
Mm-hmm.
So you just go home, pick it up in the spring, and also you just that's kind of the origin of the word holiday is holy day, and it was a big taboo to do any sort of military campaign on a holy day.
Well, yeah, because back in the days of
Knights on
the
horseback.
founders and stuff like that, you honored that Sabbath day and you kept it holy. And if they caught you working on Sunday, you were in trouble.
Oh yeah. There were rules about that. Oh God, what was that movie you had?
Johnny Tremaine.
He got arrested for working on the Sabbath or something like that.
No, he was working on the Sabbath, and he was a silversmith, and he was apprenticing with a master silversmith, and they needed to fill this order as quickly as possible because they needed the money, but the master silversmith refused to do it on Sunday because you don't work on Sunday. So the master smith's daughter had Johnny Tremaine do it, and just kind of kept an eye out for the constable. And when the constable started coming around, she was just like, put it away quick. He's coming. In his haste, he spilt some silver on his hand, which caused his hand to be deformed. So after that, he couldn't silversmith anymore. So they basically said, you're no use. Get out. Even though it was her that made him do it.
Well, that's a fun how do you do.
Yeah, it's an old book. It's one of those classics. You know, they make kids read in school.
I didn't know anything about it until you told me.
Mm-hmm.
And then we found the movie.
Found the movie. They even referenced it in an episode of The Simpsons where Marge starts homeschooling Bart because he got expelled from all the other schools.
Really? I skipped that episode.
And she's like, "This is a book I want you to read. I read it when I was a little girl. It's about," and he's like, "Books," you know, like Bart does. She's like, "It's, you know, it takes place during the Revolutionary War where a boy gets his hand deformed in a silversmithing accident." And he's like, "Whoa, deformed? Why didn't you say so in the first place? They should call this book Johnny Deformed." Like, Bart was like super into it. He was like, Itchy and Scratchy was playing, but he's sitting there reading the book instead. It was an old story, but Disney did a movie of it.
Okay. And they didn't mess it up too bad.
I don't know. Probably did.
Well, I never read the book, and I only saw the
neither.
movie once, so I can't really speak to that, but, you know.
But anyway. Well, I mean, you know, getting back to Christmas and traditions and stuff like that, you know, we don't do the Christian thing in our house. And, you know, for the longest time, we didn't really do anything.
Yeah.
And this is the first year, and it just made me so happy that Lily understood, you know, because of her autism, she doesn't always comprehend things. She's just like, cool, I get presents. Nice. But this year she understood Santa, the concept of Santa.
Yeah.
And we finally got to do the Santa stuff, and it just made me so happy. She was given an advent calendar by our friend, and she was very good. One door a day. She only opened one every day. She didn't just, you know, lose her patience and open all of them.
I really half expected that.
Me too, but every single morning, the first thing she did was run to her advent calendar and open the doors, a Lego Disney princess thing.
Like, literally would roll out of bed and beeline for that calendar.
Yeah. Still half asleep. And try and put it together. But that got her, you know, it's like, you know, well, what are we counting down to? It's like, well, we're counting down to New Year's Eve when Santa comes. And, you know, she started hearing about Santa, you know, through school and other people. And it's like, oh, Santa brings the presents. And so this year, you know, Christmas Eve, she was so excited. It was so nice because we never gotten to see that before.
She was full on in the magic of Christmas.
She
and Santa.
was, and we never gotten to see that, and it was so wonderful. Like, we had this plate that was given to us by a friend. It was her daughter's, but they gave it to us when she outgrew it. And it says cookies for Santa on it. It's like, we never got to use this yet. We finally got to use this plate. And I told her that the other day when I was talking to her.
It's been lurking in the shadows of our cupboards for a couple of years now.
Yeah, so we had some cookies, and so we brought out that plate, and I'm like, Lily, put the cookies on the plate. We'll leave them for Santa. And she's like, oh, okay. So she put like 4 cookies on the plate. And
Santa likes ginger snaps.
no, they were snickerdoodles.
Snickerdoodles.
Yeah.
Santa likes snickerdoodles.
So we left them on the coffee table next to the tree. And she had written a little note to Santa saying, Santa, I want Legos. Love, Lily. And it's like, okay, well, I'm going to email that to Santa. And like, said, oh, okay. And so she got some presents from Santa. They're Legos. Princess Peach.
Many Legos.
She got so many Legos from everybody.
Oh my God.
Everybody got her Legos.
Which is fine because she's enjoyed every single one of them.
Yeah, she's played with every single one. And it was a Princess Peach Lego set, and
yeah,
she was super excited. And she got her stocking all filled up with little goodies and
an orange.
No, you put the orange in my stocking.
No, Santa did.
Yeah, Santa put the orange in my stocking. But we woke her up Christmas morning, and we went in her room. It's like, you know, Merry Christmas, it's Christmas, and she's shot up and she's like, let's go check the cookies. And she ran into the living room, and the cookies are gone. He was here. It's like, yeah, look, you got presents. And And your stocking, he filled your stocking up with toys. She was so excited. It was so awesome.
She didn't know where to look. What? Too much excitement.
That's something that a lot of parents probably take for granted. But considering, we had to wait 8 years for it to happen.
Yeah.
It was so nice.
And it's going to happen for a good number of years to further still, I hope.
Well, usually around 8 or 9 is when kids stop believing in Santa. See, ours did the opposite. She just started believing in Santa.
Yeah, true.
So we'll see what happens next year.
I don't know. She's very perceptive.
I know, that's why, because we'd gotten her the Lego set, and I was like, let's change the wrapping paper. She's going to notice it's the same wrapping paper as all the other presents.
That was a really clever idea.
The stuff from Santa had different wrapping paper.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then you had me right on there from Santa. Mm-hmm. Which I don't think she read, but it was still a good idea. It was good, kept it thorough.
Yeah. Lily, if you're watching this in the future, we love you. But anyway, well, it's getting late.
There was one more thing I had.
Wanted to touch on?
Yes, and so talking about Lily and things like the orange, passing down cultural heritage. Now, this is a big one for me because through my life journey thus far, didn't have a cultural heritage. I didn't know where the origins of my last name until, Dad retired and had the time to look it up online. I had my suspicions. I knew approximately somewhere along the western edge of Europe. That's about it. Mm-hmm. Is it English? Maybe. Is it French? Maybe. Is it Irish? Maybe. I mean, we found all 3 of those in the heraldry shop. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Turns out it was Welsh. Didn't know that until Dad retired. When he
got into his genealogy stuff.
Yeah.
Sip.
But little things like parent to child, the magic of Santa, putting oranges in your stockings.
Happened to us every single year. An apple and an orange, and we're at the bottom. And my mom always got these little lifesaver books. And it opened up like a book, but they had rolls of lifesavers in them. Those are the 3 things we got every single year. After that, it was just like, little toys. We never ate the apple or the orange. We usually put it back in the fridge.
Who wants fruit when you've got lifesavers?
Right?
And probably chocolates.
Yeah. Like those little bells.
Yeah. Well, the orange, as it turns out, we got curious. Well, I got curious. I got curious.
He does that.
I do that. And looked it up because I think your mom said it, but your mom did that, and she said she got it from her mom.
Probably, yeah.
Probably. So I looked it up, and yeah, it's an old Irish tradition, because way back when, oranges are seasonal.
Yeah.
I mean, we take it for granted now when you can get different fruits and vegetables in the supermarket all year round, no matter what. So the idea of what's in season is almost gone for
Other
us.
than the fact that the
prices change.
The prices change, yeah. The fruits that are in season are cheaper because
Yeah.
they're easier to get.
Yeah. Especially depending on where you live, different things are in season at different times. So we looked it up, and yeah, that's an old Irish tradition that getting fruit, especially oranges in your Christmas stocking, was a real luxury because you had to import those. Mm-hmm. They were expensive, but it was also a lesson of cherishing what you had and fighting off scarcity, treasuring a luxury in times of scarcity.
Is this around the potato famine?
Which one?
Exactly my point.
Passing down cultural heritage. Traditions are vital for transmitting cultural heritage from one generation to the next. They ensure that important customs, stories, and history are not lost over time, which they often are.
Mm-hmm.
And this is especially true for family traditions that connect children to their roots and help them understand their family's history. That speaks strongly for me because that's a big thing. My family didn't have any of that. All of that had been lost to the sands of time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there was no cultural identity. There was no cultural heritage. We were as generic as you can get and barely doing that. So to be able to have that and then trying to graft new ones on as you and I are exploring different our spiritualities, kind of grafting new traditions in. And so try to pass those on to Lily as the time comes.
Yeah, you made a Yule goat this year.
I did.
He made a Yule goat.
Well,
It
it started as a goat.
Lily thought it was a reindeer, but
Well-
it was just big. I thought you did good considering you didn't really know what you were
Yeah.
doing, and you were working with twigs instead of straw.
Yeah.
So
Straw's a little harder to come by.
yes, but it's a lot easier to work with than
Yes.
twigs.
So next year I will find a hay bale and get some straw. Or just leave one section of the yard really tall.
No, don't mow it. That's our Yule goat straw.
Mark, it's June. I'm thinking ahead, okay? Oh, I mean, yeah, it started as a goat, but after a while, I was just like, yeah, this is not going to be. I'm not going to be able to make a goat. The twigs, the curved horns.
Yeah, they don't bend.
No, I realized I wasn't going to do that. So actually, I did veer off and go more reindeer looking. So I'm glad that it looked enough like a reindeer that Lily was understand. It's like
You
it's
could tell
reindeer.
what it was.
Yeah. So like, all right, woo, mission failed successfully. Aimed for a goat, got a reindeer.
But yeah, I think, every generation that comes along, like when new parents, have their kids, they want to take what they've known, but put their own twist on it.
Yeah.
And I'm sure, the Christmas we had with my grandparents and, when we were young was vastly different than the Christmas like my grandma may have had with her grandparents,
Well, we have electricity for one. They grew up in a farmhouse
with 8 kids.
with 8 kids. Papa, and Papa.
He had 5 brothers, or he was one of 5.
I mean, yeah, he was one of
So,
5 in a coal miner's town.
Yeah, no electricity. They had to do something to entertain themselves. That's why they have a whole bunch of kids.
Which makes me wonder about, what was wrong with my dad's parents.
Your dad scared them.
Maybe.
Well, there's a lot going down that rabbit hole. We're not going to do it right now.
Actually, I think it was the loss of his sister, which may have left an emotional scar too deep to try to bridge.
Mm-hmm.
Because, my dad, thinking about my dad's life, by the time he was my age, he was twice divorced. He had 4 kids and was twice divorced.
Baffles me that somebody like your dad found 3 different women to marry him. 3 or 4?
3.
Yeah.
Him and Joyce never married. They were just together.
He found 3 women willing to marry him. That just baffles my mind. Because he's not a looker.
No.
He's not very pleasant to be around.
I mean, he was an acquired taste.
Well, you grew up with him, so.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't mind him. It's just I couldn't understand a damn thing he was saying.
Well, you see, that's almost like you got to have the same dialect.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've said, when you get me, you and Aaron are around, and then Chuck's over there in the corner, and we get to Simpsoning.
And
Poor
he
Chuck
has no idea what we're talking about.
Yeah, see, it's almost another language.
Mm-hmm.
Or when Aaron and Viv are sitting there, and they're just like Letterkenny-ing
And we're
to
just
each other.
kind of like, right, okay.
Yeah. See, that's just it.
Smile and nod.
So Dad and I, we had that dialect. We had seen enough movies and shows together that we understood when one said one thing, another quote would come up.
Well, it wasn't so much, understanding what he was saying. Is just, I have no idea what he just said.
Well, that's too. Also, just the way he talked.
The way he talked, I was like, what did he say?
Don't worry about it. Just smile and nod.
Oh, yeah, Rick. I mean, I didn't mind. That was my only hang-up is, yeah, he talked whether you wanted to or not, and you couldn't understand the thing he said.
He just kind of, he was a mixture of Goofy and Abe Simpson, Grandpa Simpson. But,
yeah, he really was.
Just talking about how Lily's life and our life is so much different than, your grandparents or my dad's life. I mean, I throw my dad out there compared to your grandparents just because they're only 10 years apart in time frame. They were born in 1930, Papa 1931.
Yeah, Mima was born in 30 and Papa was born in 31.
My dad was born in 41. So, not that far off in time frame. But also a similar background.
Your dad was born during the war.
Right at the start of the war. In a one-horse town on the banks of the Wabash River.
In Terre Haute.
Terre Haute. I mean, Terre Haute today is kind of a medium-sized town, but 80 some odd years ago, it was probably pretty damn small. And apparently prone to floods during the winter. The Wabash
was right next to
the Wabash River.
Yeah.
It would come out of the river would escape its banks and wash the town away.
The river crept out of its bed and crept right into Piglets.
I mean, but they grew up in he grew up in a 2-room house. Their heat source was a cast iron stove. His parents slept in the one bedroom and he slept in the living room. So he was a little bit closer to the stove, which was nice. But he didn't have his own bedroom. And I used to tease him about it. He's like, actually, it's like, I bet you even had to did you have to go outside to poop? Actually, he did. He remembers for a short while there, they did have an outhouse.
Gross.
Yeah.
That's something we totally take for granted. Indoor plumbing. We've had it
all of our lives. Central air.
And it's just hard to imagine somebody who had to go outside and walk across the field in order to use the bathroom. You didn't wait till the last minute, I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
Nobody uses the euphemism on a night like this. Whether it's snowing, raining, you had to go.
Didn't matter how cold it was.
You had to go.
You gotta go. And you better take a lantern and something to... I mean, that was why the Farmer's Almanac, when you buy a copy of the Farmer's Almanac, there's a little black dot in the top left-hand corner.
What's that do?
That's left over from when people would use that to wipe. You would take the prior edition and you would hang it there. And that was where you drilled out the book to hang it on a hook in the outhouse. Because those...
Waste not.
Waste not. Well, that book went into publication before the invention
changed every year, so it's not something that's useful the next year.
Right. Or actually, I think it used to be like monthly. But either way, it was just the previous copy, or whenever you were done with it, you used it for that because it went into publication before the invention of rolled toilet paper.
Mm-hmm.
So, back before there was toilet paper, you just used whatever you could find.
Mm-hmm.
A handful of weeds. Pine cone.
Or nothing.
Or nothing.
People back then were not very pleasant smelling.
Nope. Indoor plumbing is a miracle.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I think about my dad's life, at what he was doing at different stages of his upbringing. It's like, wow, what a different thing. What a different world. It's like, no wonder he got on a moped and made his way to Salt Lake City.
I'm sorry, I just pictured Dumb and Dumber.
Pretty much. Pretty much.
Lloyd and Harry on that little. Oh, funny. I'm tired, so things are funny.
I mean, that is funny. But anyways, traditions. Love them.
Love them or hate them. Find some good in them.
Find some good.
Enjoy them if you get them. If not, make your own.
Make your own. And try to understand them. There's usually a story of some sort behind them, like the oranges in the stocking.
Yeah. Yeah, because, usually, the holidays as we know it is passing down, the story of, the pilgrims or the settlers having meal with the natives, they saved their lives and regretted it later. And, Christmas, either, the story of the birth of Christ or the story of Santa, it's all just, ways to keep stories alive.
It really is. It really is. And that's what traditions are for. That's what traditions come out of, is a way of passing stories on. So, I mean, in that sense, you should try to remember as many traditions. Not all of them deserve to be practiced, but try to remember all of them.
Guy Fawkes Day.
Why not? America should embrace that. We embrace it.
Penny for the guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, and go around and ask for a penny for the guy.
We've imported other holidays that nobody else. Well, I mean, Cinco de Mayo and
Cinco de Mayo is not It is an American-made holiday.
Exactly, based on other people's history.
Yeah.
So
we took other people's history and made up something else that has nothing to do with it.
Same with St. Patrick's.
Yeah.
St. Patrick's Day and I think Valentine's Day are just
Isn't Valentine's Day just one of those Hallmark holidays that were made up?
Just like the other two. I mean, you could say St. Patrick's Day and Cinco de Mayo were pretty much invented to sell more beer.
Well, yeah, I mean, they don't celebrate St. Patrick's Day in Ireland.
They didn't until we did.
Yeah.
They do now, but they got it from us.
Anyway, we're not going to go into that now.
No. I mean, that is irony.
Yeah. A lot of things that we do here in America and say is cultural to this culture in this country, and like in that country they're like, dude, we have no idea what you're talking about. We don't do that here.
Columbus Day. Italy's just like, who?
Yeah. Oh, that guy? Didn't we banish him?
No idea what you're talking about, man. Now, Amerigo's Vespucci. Let's talk about that. But, so yeah, why not Guy Fawkes Day? And with that, I think we're going to leave you wondering who that Guy Fawkes Day was.
Well, I'm sure everyone's seen V for Vendetta.
You say that, but that was a while ago.
That was a while ago. It's ready for a remake now.
Yeah. No! No! Please, no.
Anyway. All right, well, it's late. I'm tired.
Yep. And I think the fireworks gave up for a little while.
No, they're saving them for midnight. They'll all go off on midnight. I don't even need to look at the clock to see when it's midnight around here. I know.
It's 10:30.
So we got an hour and a half. That means they're saving them and drinking, waiting.
Yeah. So that gives us enough time to get some NyQuil or something, and get you some earplugs.
So get inside the house where there's a proper roof.
Yes. For the love of God, don't shoot guns into the air, people. Bullets come back down. What goes up must come down. It's called physics.
Even those fireworks, the casings they were in, they fall down. That's why fireworks that go up in the air are illegal.
Yeah.
They start fires.
Yep. More than one 4th of July, I have found bits on the roof of this building of fireworks that went up and then came back down.
What goes up must come down.
Gravity's a pain that way.
Yeah.
It's very consistent in its efforts to keep things down.
Mm-hmm. So be safe. I hope this will come out after the fact. So I hope you had a safe holiday. Remember, you can always Uber, you can always taxi, have a designated driver, do something responsible. Just don't drink and drive. Crash on your buddy's couch.
Yeah. Wake up with a few interesting stories to tell. Well, remember, he who passes out first gets drawn on.
Messed with in general. So.
Yeah.
Wow, she finally moved. Hasn't moved for a long time.
She worked out today. She was tired.
She was very tired.
All right.
I'm very tired too. So, night. Hope you had a happy new year.
Enjoy traditions, have fun, and we will see you next time. Toodaloo.
Toodles.